So I said in a video the other day that this Neo Archer was a woman in a early co-counseling class I was in my 20s who really saw me. She's the one who said that I was the handsomest man she had ever met, and she was happily married to a guy named Robert. But the other thing she said to me was her wish for me was that I would learn to speak to the animals. So that indicated how well she knew me, because she knew how important animals are to me. And I have learned to do that. I can speak to the animals better than I can speak to the Spanish speakers. So the animals are all drawn to me, and the people around the restaurant notice that, He's got the burro, and the dogs are drawn to him and sit by his table, and we have to keep shooing them out of the restaurant because they're trying to get to him. And the 3-year-old, I'm learning to speak her language, and she and I engage really directly. But Spanish is still the big stumbling block for me. And I realized that the reason I was so stupefied after my visit out there with Francisco, who also works at the store back in town, and his buddy Gustavo, and Gustavo's dad, Gustavo. Well, the 2 young guys speak English. They're really wanting to practice their English. So I spent half an hour or more with them talking English. And then I got back to the store here where I love people so much, and I know they love me. And I was a bump on the log at the table. I was so excited to see them, and sat down, and they were rattling off Spanish, and I was left out. Now, I've been trying to make sense out of my resistance to apps. Why have I not, in 4 months in Mexico, been really rolling up my sleeves with the apps? Well, they're apps. I'm kind of sick of talking to my own phone. Computer-generated stuff. I want to talk to people. So I'm going to Mexico City sometime soon. I learned from Gustavo, who I'm going to meet with again tomorrow morning at 9 back on the farm there. They've got a bunch of horses back there. And you get back there and see how rolling it truly is back there. It looks flat here, but it's not. You're starting to get into the mountains, and it's really rolling back there. I want to learn Spanish from people. I want to learn Spanish by talking to people. Oh yeah, so the other thing I learned from Gustavo is he's in college at a town that's just an hour from Mexico City. So when I leave here, if I go to Jalapa, not Zalapa, Jalapa first, the X is like an H. If I go to Jalapa first, which sounds like a spectacular city, he is in college at some town like Chichula, or I'll get it from him again because we all exchanged WhatsApp. That would be my next stop on the way to Mexico City. So I won't do long stops at either of those places. But Mexico City, I'm liable to be at least a month. I bet I will be at least a month. And I may start on the outskirts and taking buses into town. But as I learn my way around, I bet I will be bringing my van into the city and finding places to be. And I'd like to find an immersion Spanish class. Somehow set aside some chunk of money for that. And be learning Spanish in an extroverted way, where I'm engaging with people and not the stupid screen. And I spoke more Spanish with those guys who were wanting to speak English. I belted out a lot of Spanish. I really want to communicate. I've been so lonely. I really want to communicate. And I remain haunted by the Ian and Sylvia song, which I learned in high school when I was a folkie, into all the folk music. And they're French-Canadian, but they have a song, Spanish is a lovin' tongue. Soft as music, light as rain, something like that. Was the girl I learned it from. living down Sonora Way. Funny that I kinda miss her. Ever since that night I kissed her. Something else. It planted in me the notion that you would learn Spanish from a lover. Maybe that will happen also. But I have to meet people. I have to have repeated contacts with people before anything like that could happen. So I have to be in Mexico City at least a month, and San Miguel at least a month. It's been so unrewarding reaching out to people back in Asheville by Facebook Messenger and shit like that. It's not what I want. I want to talk to people. And on South Padre Island, I had the 2 coffee shops where I hung out so much. That was really important to me. Okay, I got that.